rather be with you.
Hello and welcome to the Fiber Tales podcast. My name is Lærke and this is a podcast all about knitting, about knitwear design and about anything creative I'm up to. It's been a while since I podcasted, I think maybe half a year even, because we moved. So a lot of stuff has been going on with moving from one house to another. It's a big project. I made a moving vlog thing that I uploaded a while back, so if you feel like watching that, you can go and hear a lot more about the moving. So I will not talk too much about that, but also what happened is I've been really diving into a lot of creative projects in the house and using a lot of my creative energy on decorating. We painted this living room, on figuring out what to do with all the rooms. This house is quite big and with a lot of rooms, and I am not even halfway done with all the things I would love to do. But it is a project that's going to last for hopefully the rest of my life, fixing this house up the way I want. So there are a lot of things to do, but that also means I've been putting a lot of creative energy into that and not so much into knitting. Generally, I normally have a dip in knitting mojo when we hit summer, and that happens every year. So I was kind of expecting that, but I also just felt like I didn't have much more energy. I didn't feel like knitting, but as it happens, every fall it comes back. So my knitting mojo came back. I have been working quite intensively on two projects that are both shawls, and I will show you in this episode. Then none of them are ready to be released. So I also work as a photographer, and I've been quite busy during the summer and the fall. So it's always a bit of a struggle to find the balance when fall comes around, because both photography and knitting maybe a year in advance, and I'm really terrible at that. So I am just working on them when I get the inspiration, when I feel like, and that also means it just takes a long time to get patterns ready. But I have two things to show you. I'm really excited about that. I've been feeling very much in the knitting mood again, and the days are very short and cold and dark, and I have lit a fire behind me. That is one of my favorite things about the new house. I just love that we have a fireplace, or a wood burning stove, I guess it's called, maybe in English. It's a closed one. And I just love it. Love spending time being in this house every day. I work from home, so I spend a lot of time and hours in this house. Anyways, I won't talk too much about the moving. Again, I already made a vlog about it, but I would love to talk a little bit more about just things in general, but I will do that at the end of the episode so we can get to talk about knitting. It's been such a long time. Oh, and I also have an exciting news, because I will have a yarn shop update this Sunday, and I will talk about that as well a little later in the episode. But let's take a look at some knitting and some of the things I've been working on. They are behind me, that's why I keep looking back to see what I have here. Should I start with a finished object? I think I will. I combined a lot of the things I've really liked from my previous shawl patterns into one. I always like to pay attention to the techniques that are particularly interesting to work, that makes knitting more enjoyable. So I tried to combine some of those things. I made some changes because of that I found that one of the techniques I was using was just really tedious, and so I decided to make some changes to it. But let me show you first, and then I can talk a bit more later. So this is the shawl. I hope you can even see it. It's quite big, as I like my shawls to be, but this one is not massive. And as you can see, it is a triangular shaped shawl, a little more wide than it's deep. Well, quite a bit more, but and it is knit in a very soft drapey yarn. I wanted this to be very soft to wear around the neck. So this is what it would look like. Normally I wear my shawls like this, unless I'm working, then I wear them over the shoulders, but I just tie them with a knot under here and wear them when I'm out from the house. I made this one in a wool. I held 2 strands together, so it's wool and mohair. And let me see if I have the skeins here in my knitting bag. So I use this wool from Knitting for Olive. That is a merino wool fingering, and it is in the colorway called, in Danish it's called bark, and I think bark, is it the same in English? I guess it's the same in English. It's a brown with a little bit of a green undertone. It looked a bit more green online, so it's more brown in real life, and I held it together with the mohair in the same color. I will put all the info in the description box below, that way it's easier for you to find. I cannot remember I don't think I have the label here, so, but I held these 2 together and they created a really beautiful drapey fabric that is just very soft and fussy and has a lot of, how is it called? It has a lot of, in Danish we say that it has a lot of play, but I guess that doesn't make sense in English. It shines because the mohair has a little bit of shine, so it catches the light more, so it doesn't look so flat. It has a little bit more. You're always so kind helping me with words when I forget them in English, so if you have the right word that I'm looking for, please put it below. I'm sure I will remember after I finish recording, but that's how it is when English is not your first language. So this is, the shawl has this big garter section that is just very easy and mindless, and then it has 3 sections of little flowers. Well, 3 sections, one of little flowers, well 2 of them, and then in the middle it has this section of like little branches with little buds, and it was a lot of fun to make. So originally and then it has a ribbing at the bottom and a little row of eyelets. Originally I was planning to make it so it had these flowers all over. So it was supposed to have flowers, just be a very simple shawl with flowers all over. But I realized those flowers are a little bit of a pain to make. You're wrapping the yarn around the stitches, so you have to kind of go back and forth or use a spare needle, and I just found it a little bit tedious. So after doing, it's fun for the first row, and I love seeing stitches grow and come to life, so I always find that's exciting, but then it's not fun anymore. And I just thought, instead of killing myself doing a whole shawl with that, I tried to figure out something else, and that's when I came up with this little branch. It's the first time I made it exactly like this, so I was quite happy with how it turned out. And then I made another little row of flowers. So I kind of pay attention to, maybe I have an idea, but if it feels if it kills me knitting it, I know others won't have fun working on it either. So then I try to modify. I also did the shaping is a little bit different from usual shaping, so I wanted it to be long and more narrow, more long than deep. But to achieve that, I find sometimes, especially when I made my Plötulopi shawl, that one has the same shape, but it kind of tends to curl at the ends, and I really wanted them to be more straight. So I did a little bit of a different shaping to try to achieve this little more straight tip. This one, just like the Plötulopi, is knit bottom up, and I find that so satisfying to work. It is a big cast on, so you cast on a lot of stitches, but it just is so satisfying once you have cast on and you just keep decreasing instead of increasing, and it just makes the whole experience a lot more fun. And in the end, when you're just working garter stitch and you are getting close to the end, it feels very very easy on the mind. You don't have to to bind off a lot of stitches. It just feels very fun to work on. So I tried to make this one like a fun shawl with some of my favorite nature elements. I haven't written down the pattern completely. I took notes as I was going along, so now the fun part of writing down the pattern comes, and honestly I won't have time for another few weeks, so I don't know when this will be out, but I also need to have it tested once I have it all written down. So that's the fun of making knitwear patterns. It just takes a while. But I wanted to show you just the same because finally I have some knitting to show, and I've been dying to talk about knitting. And often I got comments on my Instagram if I will make a podcast again or underneath my previous videos, and I just felt really bad, but I didn't have any knitting to talk about, and this is a knitting podcast. I'm not going to sit and talk about... I can talk a lot about a lot of subjects, but I want this to be mainly about knitting. Then I have an almost finished object that I've been working on at the same time. This project, I'm going to show you the yarn first. It's Giant, it's another shawl, and I've been using this yarn. Okay, let's see if I can show you without breaking the yarn, maybe not. Okay, I'm gonna bring the whole thing over. So I've been using this beautiful Plötulopi, and it's all tangled in. Yeah, that's the only issue. Once you have the plate is becoming a little more loose, then it kind of falls apart a little bit. But I've been using this beautiful Plötulopi together with... Okay, I'm not going to do this on camera because I'm making a mess. I'm just going to do this very quietly afterwards. Oh no, I don't want to break the yarn. I've been using this colorway, the Plötulopi. It's an Icelandic unspun yarn, in case you don't know it. I love using it, but it's quite rustic. I actually tried swatching already. It's a rough yarn, but yeah, so I decided it was better to use mohair. So I'm using mohair in both these projects. They give a really nice effect and a little bit of softness. But yes, the Plötulopi is the colorway called Frost Grass, I think. Again, I will put it below, but it is very beautiful dark green heathered colorway with a bit of rust in it, and it is absolutely amazing. I love this kind of green, and I was looking all over to find a mohair I could pair with it, because it's yeah, it's just it just needed that little bit extra softness. But a lot of the mohairs I would find, they were either very the shades of green were more Christmas tree like more potent green, emerald green maybe. And I really wanted a green that would go with this, and this one is not exactly the same green, but it complements very beautifully the rust colors in the green. So I ended up using this green mohair that's from Isager, and it is a kid mohair silk, and this is in the colorway 68. I don't know, the name was something like leaves. And when you knit them up together, you get this amazing fabric, and it's just so beautiful and squishy. And yes, now you can see a little bit of the design. So if you know my designs and you have tried knitting some of my patterns, you will know that I discovered some time ago that you could make this kind of braid, and I used it in a couple of designs, and never want to overuse when I have an element that I love, but this element I just knew I would come back to it in different designs. And I have made, okay, I'm gonna show you the whole thing, but it's massive. It's massive, and it's not completely finished. I still need, there will be one more braid over here that I haven't made yet, It's just a giant, long shawl that is perfect for wrapping around and having hanging down a little bit more. I love that look with my shawls, so let me see if I can wrap it around just a little bit. It's still attached to the yarn, so I don't want to pull it too hard, but something that you can wrap around many times and have hanging down and looking beautiful, and being very fun to knit. So this one is a lot more organic than the other one I showed you. This one has an organic shaping, so it starts in a tip and then it grows into this long, and then it goes out into a tip again, so it's more like a long strip. And now I will see if I can put in a little video, because where I have my office now, I look out over the hills and I see the sea at the end, and when I look that way out I have these wavy hills of the landscape, and I look at that every day now, and it's my absolute favorite thing about this house. It has the most beautiful view and it's very inspiring, and I wanted to mimic that shaping with the braids, so they are kind of moving up and down and getting closer to each other and more. Sorry, I'm still getting tangled in the yarn. They just have this kind of shape where they move in and out. It hasn't been blocked, so it doesn't look as nice as it will once it's been blocked. And I will show you a little bit better once the pattern is ready and everything. But I've been working on this one, and I absolutely love working on it. It is very different from my more symmetrically shaped shawls, where you have a certain amount of increases and you just keep going. This one, to shape the braids, and it just took a lot of tries. I actually ripped back like 5-6 times the beginning just to get the right amount of increases, the right shape as I wanted, and I think it's gonna be absolutely perfect, and I'm really excited about this one. And I just think it's funny to work with more organic shapes. I don't normally work with little patterns, and I like my triangular shaped shawls, but this one is a little more free, and it to make it. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun working on, and this one is a little closer to being released, because it is at the stage right now where I have written the chart as I went, so I just have to write down, in case someone doesn't like reading a chart, I will write down the instructions. And I also want to I have to check the chart, because I'm really not that I always get confused how to write the charts and how to shape it with the increases and decreases and stuff. So I'm a little excited to get it ready, and I also have another project to come along with that one that I want to work on next. So I'm happy I have some yarn left. So far I've used I think 2 plates and 4 balls of the mohair, something like that. I have to check, because I've been swatching a lot, so some of the swatches are still I didn't unravel them yet. But there are so many shawls coming your way, and I feel really excited about it. I don't know when they will be released again. I need to give my tester some time as well, but I hope this winter, I hope I can manage before the winter is over. That would be the best case scenario. So the next thing I would love to talk about are these babies. If you've been following this podcast for a long time, or just me in general, you will know what this is about. But I will just talk about it as if you don't know, so in case someone is new, they don't feel like, what am I talking about? And also because I just love the story of this yarn. So this is a yarn that I have spun and sell around once or twice a year. This is yarn made from my parents' small flock of Gotland sheep, and I have had it made in different ways each time. This time I've gone back to what I've made previously. That is a DK weight 2-ply yarn. I have a charcoal color and a more light gray, medium gray. Compared to the charcoal, this one looks very light, but it is more of a, I think, light medium gray. What would you call it? I'm always a little bit confused about what I should call it. But it is, sorry, I'm just looking at the fireplace because I put on a little extra wood. Yeah, it is just, they're just beautiful tones that mimic the original colors, or I always separate the fleece from the sheep into 2 piles, and then I have the dark pile and the lighter pile, and I try to have the yarn look like the colors of the sheep the most. I'm not quite sure if it's the length of the fibers or something, but the Gotland fleece is has these long fibers, and is I think it's a bit harder to spin. So, and also for the softness of the yarn, it's a little more soft if you add in something else. So I've been trying out different combinations of how much to add in of the different yarn in the beginning, or the different fleece. In the beginning I was using Falkland Merino. That was what the mill was recommending, and I would make a 75% yarn out of it. But then I found out that the mill actually has their own sheep that are local. This mill is here on the island where I live. I live on an island called Fyn, and the island, there's a small mill close to where my parents live. They have always had the yarn spun there, and it's a family-owned mill with many generations of spinners, I guess you would call it. And okay, I just have to think where I'm going with it, because I get all caught in all the exciting details. But I found out they had their own yarn, and they are organic sheep that live on the island. So I really would prefer using that compared to a Falkland Merino that you have to bring in from the Falkland Islands, that's on the other side of the globe. So I asked them if it's a 50-50 mix. Instead of, I add in a little bit more of their wool that makes it a little more plump and soft compared to a completely Gotland yarn that is more shiny and hard on the touch. It is a woolen spun yarn, and it is, I don't know if you can see, maybe down here it's a little more easy to see. Oh, I have a hair, always losing hairs everywhere. It's a woolen spun yarn, and it gets this beautiful halo when you use Gotland fleece in it. In this light gray one, there is white mixed in with the gray, so that's the natural white of the other sheep and the gray of the Gotland sheep. In this charcoal one, to keep the charcoal color that is the sheep have naturally, you have to add in a black. So it's the same fleece as this one, but just dyed black. So this one has a bit of black dye in it to keep the charcoal color. But what I love about this one is that you have such a nice little specks of lighter colors, and it's just absolutely beautiful. It's not black, it's hard to photograph and hard to show on camera, but it's just this very deep gray with a lot of depth, and the same with this one, has a lot of different tones of gray, and I think they're absolutely beautiful. I'm going to make 2 shop updates just so I can stay on top of shipping, because it's a lot of packing and shipping, and I don't have anything set up permanently for that, so I kind of do it only these few times a year. So I'm going to ship, to make 1 shop update on Sunday the 19th at 9 o'clock standard Central European time. I will put the other times below because they are, yeah, just so I don't say anything wrong. And I will have another shop update, I think, in January, because that way it won't run over Christmas. And I have tried that before, and sometimes the packages can get lost in all the Christmas shipping. So hopefully I can manage to have everything shipped before December, and then again in the new year I will make a second shop update. I have some very big sacks of yarn, so there's a lot of yarn to go out. Yeah, and I would just recommend that if you want to get your hands of any of this, the yarn normally sells out quite quickly. It's a limited edition. I don't have that much of it, so just be ready on time. I sell from Etsy, so once it's I have put it on the website, it might take a few seconds, then it shows, and then if you're already logged in, you should be able to get some. It hasn't been as crazy the last time, so just don't be stressed, but it normally is a good idea not to be a little bit quick if you want to get any of it. And yeah, I think that's all I had to say about the yarn. I have made other videos in the past talking about the yarn. I will try to see if I can find one and put it below, because last time it was a different yarn. It was a fingering weight. Now this time it's a DK weight, the same as the time before. So I will have to see if I can find the one. Okay, I'm just looking at the fire again. If it didn't, it looks so dark behind me, but it's still alive. Yeah, I think that's all I wanted to say, and it has this beautiful light sheepy smell, and I just love it. Okay. Yes, I got a few questions on what you can knit with this, and generally I would recommend anything where you use a DK weight yarn. It is quite maybe a light worsted. It's quite it blooms quite a lot, but not like it just gets this beautiful halo and fills out holes very beautifully. I have made a few garments with it. My Rødtur sweater is made with this yarn, so I will try to see if I can also link that one below. I made a sweater that I haven't released, unfortunately, so I don't really want to show it because you cannot make it at the moment. But any kind of texture like brioche is very beautiful in this one. Of course, in the charcoal color, things are very hard to see, so I wouldn't work something where you want to see a lot of texture. But it's also very beautiful when you make color. The mohair, once it's knit up, it gets this little bit of a fuzz on the edge, and the more you wear it, the more fuzz it gets. It doesn't tend to peel, to get these little peely bits. It just gets more fluffy every time, but it's very beautiful with color work as well. So some texture, color work, and what else? Just a simple, nice sweater that you want to have that. Think anything that has this mohair effect, I would say you can achieve with this one. So, but the colors, of course, you have to pay attention. You could knit, for example, this shawl and this pattern. You would be able to knit in this yarn without any problems, of course. Now this one isn't out yet, so yeah, but I think with anything you have to swatch and see what you think and you feel about the fabric you get. So I feel like I've been talking a lot. It's really nice to sit down and talk to you guys. So I thought to talk a little bit more about what it has been happening here, the move, everything, even if I already made videos about it. It's just such a big thing in my life that it's exciting to talk about. So we moved in May, the 1st of May. We moved from a house we were renting in the forest to this place that is on it's on the top of a hill. We have the view over a fjord, I would say, call it maybe, a bay, a little more closed in area of the sea, but it's with small islands dotted around. So the island I live on, Fyn, is part of an archipelago. So there are a lot of small islands below in the southern part where I live, and it's just very beautiful. And because Denmark doesn't have any mountains, it is really hard to get that view over the whole area. And this house is placed on a hill that is 128 meters high above sea level, and there are 4 kilometers, so I'm very close to the sea, so you feel a bit of an elevation that's the best you get in Denmark when we talk about elevation, I think. So I really love this open view, the look of the sea. I can always see when the clouds, I keep pointing that way because it's that way. I can see when the clouds are rolling in. It just, when we get a storm, it just looks absolutely beautiful. Sometimes you see the sun shining out on the ocean, and it's so inspiring to me. I never lived this close to the ocean, and I always wanted to live closer to the ocean. So this summer we were just here, we were enjoying the sea, the kids we're just getting to know the area, and we still had a lot of things to do. Even if we managed to get this living room ready quite quickly, we have the door behind me over there is a room full of boxes still. I just try to be gentle on myself because I work from home, so I get a little frustrated sometimes with how slow it's going, but we decided to make one room with boxes and then slowly getting the other rooms ready so we don't live in boxes forever. I've been working on my daughter's bedroom. I have a video coming up showing that. I just still need to do a little bit last finishing touches, but I put up wallpaper and it was a lot of fun. We were just here during the summer exploring the area. There's so many beautiful walks you can take, and I'm so inspired by nature, so for me it's absolutely wonderful to be able to go into nature. Every day I go for a walk in the hills or in the forest, or take my bike to the sea and walk there. So it's just something that makes me very happy to have this as my home, but also my workplace, and where I can find inspiration. And we live next to a small village. It's very small, 300 people, small. So it's a tiny, tiny village, but there's a shop, a little shop, and a school. I think I got the answer on that one in the last video. It's a charter school? Is that what it's called? It's privately... No, it's not private school. It used to be a public school that had to close down, and then the parents decided to open the school again, and it's running quite well. It's tiny, tiny, but it's so cozy and friendly, and the kids are very happy there. So my daughter is in school and my son is in the kindergarten, and I'm very happy. And since we moved, I've been trying my best to find some new friends here because it is very far from everything. There are no buses, there are no trains, there's nothing. At least in the town where I lived before, we lived outside, but there was a train. Oh, it's starting to rain, it's getting darker, but I hope you can still see me. I've been trying to it's still going in there. I've been trying very much to get to know some people, some of the other moms from the kindergarten and school, and we started swimming in the winter, so we are going down to, well, all year, not only in the winter, but from the summer we started going once a week to the sea and take a dip or swim, and it's getting shorter and shorter. Last time was pretty cold. So we just go in, and it's quite a popular thing here in Denmark to do. We call it winter bathing, winter swimming, where you just go and take a dip all year to get the blood running and the endorphins and stuff. And it's very nice, and I really like doing it as a group. So we are a small group of women doing it together. Normally it's a thing that older women do here, so you will have grandmas doing it, and they normally do it naked as well. So in the beginning we were wearing our bathing suits, but now it's getting so cold that we just go in really quickly, and it's easier to do it without. But I'm feeling more and more like a grandma. I'm doing my knitting, I'm sitting in front of the fireplace, and I'm going and doing the winter swimming activities, but I love it. It's just been such a positive experience. I'm really, really happy that there are some wonderful people here in the area. I feel very welcomed. We got 2 cats. I didn't tell about the cats, did I? No, we got kittens during the summer, and they are the most sweet kittens. They're getting quite big now. They never been aggressive. They're always so friendly. We take them to the vet and they were just telling us how easy they were. So we're really happy with those. They are like a mix, but they are just have this gray stripe look. I will see if I can put a little video as well of them. I think I showed them also in the last one, but they're very sweet. And what else has happened? I went to Italy for a week. And I just felt like we didn't go anywhere in the summer. I haven't been to Italy where I have my, I lived there when I was a teenager with a host family. I did a year as an exchange student. So I went there and visited everyone, and it was absolutely amazing just by myself. So that was really a nice change. And then when I came home, the fall really started, and it has been rainy and cold and gloomy since, but I really enjoyed here and I light the fire. It's really not going too well. Yeah, it is. You just don't see it in the camera. Or maybe you do. Sometimes it's hard for me because I'm looking at a small screen far away, so I cannot see if it's going. But yeah, I just get the fire going and go for walks and come back in and make a warm tea and enjoy myself with some knitting. So it is really a very nice time in my life. There's still things to figure out, and sometimes I get a little impatient with everything I want to do. But yeah, you can follow along in my house journal that I'm doing to show what all the projects, so I don't talk about it too much here because I guess some of you are not here for that kind of stuff. But I found out that a lot of people who like knitting, they also like decorating and house stuff and so on. So I guess maybe it can go hand in hand in some way. But yeah, I think that's it for today. I can talk and talk forever. It was really nice to catch up. I hope I didn't miss any parts since it's been a while. I feel a little bit rusty on the whole introduction and remembering the right order of saying things. But I feel really good being back. I hope I can podcast some more. But again, I feel like I need some knitting to do that. And sometimes I'm just not that quick at producing anymore. But I was thinking maybe I could do like a Q&A next time or something like that. So let me know what you would like to see in the next video. That way I can record a little more often. And also, yeah, I'm going to do I just have to finish the video on my daughter's room, and then that one will go up as well. Okay, talk to you all soon. Bye!